And it was one of the first things as a relatively new commissioner, having just been appointed back in April this past year. I was kind of surprised by the fact that our commission, I feel one of the more important commissions in the city, is not being televised out to the citizens. This was before Mr. Petrellis brought this up to the commission. Personally, it's something I feel that, again, we should be an open government, and our commission meetings should be as widely available to the public as possible. So I would recommend absolutely that in our wish list we make a priority the installation of the hardware that's necessary in this commission room. I'm not saying that we should move our meetings to City Hall, although I know that some people feel that would be preferable, but we've invested a lot of money in this auditorium, and you know, if we can make this auditorium televisable, if that's a word, to the public, then I think we've done our duty. So I would recommend that we add the estimated amount to add this, to hardwire this room for televising, and in the interim, before that happens or before it gets completed, that we do budget money to have the roving portable videographers come in here and televise our meetings. So I think it's important. I have to agree with members of the public who do speak out and say that we are not as open to the public as we should be, and so I have to agree that this is a priority, and we should put the funds, which are quite modest compared to a lot of the other things that we're putting into our budget and our budgeted wish list. I do think we should approve the money, the additional ask to have our fire commission meetings televised. Madam Vice Chair.
Anyone else? Any comments from other commissioners? Commissioner Covington?
Thank you. I would like to ask my fellow commissioners about their feelings regarding moving to City Hall. I would like to hear back from each commissioner concerning that. Commissioner Hardiman has expressed his opinion. I would like to know what other opinions are.
Well, I'll just say that I understand completely the department's preference to stay here, and I know that we've had experience where being here was incredibly beneficial. I feel like we need to weigh that, though, against accessibility to the meetings. I think the meetings are more accessible at City Hall than here, particularly on game days when it's just a challenge to be here, even for us, much less members of the public. And I think that the additional cost is something that should be considered as well. I can't say that I've made a decision where I strike the balance, but I think it's an important consideration that the public be kind of more freely able to access our meetings, which I think is easier to do at City Hall than here.
Again, I appreciate Commissioner Cleveland bringing this on a discussion in terms of agenda. Again, I have no problem philosophically talking about trying to have these sessions televised. For me, it was always cost issue. Locality is another issue. Back in the old days, when I first came on, we were down on Jones Street, middle of afternoon, like 6 p.m. And I'm not saying that in those days it wasn't brown sunshine or, you know, having information available for the public. I think the whole idea is to have information available for the public, but back in the old days, you were here to the time, 6 o'clock, down on Jones Street. The command staff is there in the headquarters. And we went out about the business of the department. Sometimes when the meeting went long, which often it did, we all commissioners had a parking space. But the janitors would close the gates, so sometimes we were prisoners within that building if we had a long meeting. But that's not talking, I'm talking about locality and time. When we moved here to this state-of-the-art headquarters, one of the concepts architecturally as part of was to have our commission meetings here, designed for us. And this has been a great, great asset. Our meetings then changed from 6 on the suggestion of the commissioner to 5. And then in terms of a suggestion from, I believe, President Hardeman at that particular time, suggested it be moved to 4.
No, it was on the suggestion.
Was that your suggestion, Commissioner? And I can't really recollect, I stand corrected, I can't really recollect what was purpose. I think purpose was more of accessibility for ourselves, and so I do acknowledge that this area is not the easiest area to get to. I also go to meetings at City Hall, and City Hall is not the easiest place to get to. I just hate to say that, but it is. Parking is difficult, depending upon the day. I think the purpose and the concept was to have these meetings and have it live televised. The reason why we brought, I don't know if it was SFGov, but the technician staff person who came, the proposals that were presented was that there is no time that we have at 4 o'clock, even if it was a City Hall, that we would go live. So the point of information is no matter what this discussion is that we at 4 o'clock will not go live. So part of that discussion in terms of City Hall, and I'm not against it, I'm even open to maybe, if you will, having a demonstration, if you will, of having maybe 1 meeting a month or 4 meetings a quarter. But I also would like to be convinced that the time that we have it would be friendly and accessible to staff and to the public. We're talking 2 different levels. We're not talking that we don't want all of the members of the public or the staff to be here, but there is a truth of reality of when staff, the command staff can come to a meeting that would work to me within an operational phase, but also where the facility is. If that was the case, we would have a meeting at maybe 9 a.m. at City Hall. If that was the case in the morning, if it was going to stream live. Again, with the advocacy of having this information transparent, we have always, in the 20 years that I've been here, tried to improve our minutes, tried to have our minutes reflect what happens here, tried to post it online. And then most recently, because of our presentation, I believe, Madam Secretary, we have all of our commission meetings
Yes.
audio.
Audio.
It's audio. So that's in the spirit of trying to share the information. So I particularly at this time, it was a cost game for me. And during the years when the budgets were so lean and there was nothing but cuts for years and years and years and years and years, whatever kinds of requests we, the department, used to make, if we granted any kind of approval, it was to take it out of our budget. So a line item of 200,000 or a line item of 130,000, it's a real line item, but it comes out of our budget. The only thing that I saw was the 33,000 that had a mobile unit attached to it. So again, I'm all for transparency, information, however best they can do that. But again, I think I need to be convinced as to time, place, locality, and indeed the access. So if you're going to be streamed with a tape delay, that ain't live. So I just need to have a little bit more dialogue on that. So at this particular time, the only thing I saw to give clarity to Mr. Corso was, it's a cost issue for me. And if the 33 or whatever the cost is, again, painfully, it comes out of our budget, I assume, Mr. Corso. It's not going to be line item identified. At one point when we had the staff from the city here, I wanted to ask them, like, couldn't we create a program at City College of San Francisco where students can come out here and videotape us? Because there are some individuals who were a phenomenon of technology and taping. You can buy a camera and become a TV cameraman, if you will. Stream delayed, by the way. It's not live, but that was my point. Again, I'm not at all against information going to the public. I think the public has access. I don't disagree with you, Commissioner, because there's that game day stuff out here. I feel like asking and taking a poll of the members out there about the different ways, but I won't do that. I'm just suggesting this guy. So I'm sorry, Commissioner, that I'm kind of going all over the place. But I think my vision is more on cost effect, And at this point, if we can do the cost effect within our building, within the accessibility of information, and more importantly, emergencies. That's my feeling. I don't know what our capabilities are at City Hall. I know we're all armed with radios, so I guess we all run out at the same time. But I do know in this facility, we can go upstairs. Fourth floor?
Second, just about.
Second floor. And there's a command center there
Department Operations Center.
that
correct.
operates immediately. I've seen that in play as well at various times when that's been put into service, so to speak.
Right.
So again, in my mumbling, I would like to be here, commissioners, if we could do that at a cost effect level. And that's my statement at this particular time.
And just to add, because you are the senior and the veteran commissioner, you're correct. There were two different meeting times historically. Since when I came in, the meetings were held at Golden Gate Avenue, right near Jones Street. And they were second and fourth Thursdays of the month. One was at 9 a.m., one was at 6 p.m. And then that got changed. We moved down here in 1998. And then I believe it was evening only, 6 o'clock, you're absolutely right. And then over the course of the last just five years, so it went to 5 and then to 4. But I think the idea was for access, sometimes retired people or people that, you know, didn't like to go out at night, could it be part of the 9 a.m. meeting? And then for those people that may work, they'd want to come after work. So they alternated. Second meeting, the second Thursday was an AM meeting, and the fourth Thursday was a PM meeting, up until about 1998, until we moved down here.
Yeah, and thank you for reminding me on that as well, because I do believe that when we moved the times to 4 o'clock, it was a little bit more accessible time, not only for command force, I'm talking about the general part. I think that 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock time was tough because of people usually eat dinner at that time, you know, so I'm not sure what people do anymore after work, so.
Right, and sometimes our 6 o'clock meetings would go to 10 or 11.
Right, and this is nothing, I'm not going to say this is nothing, a 3-hour meeting, but in the old days, this was the average, because we had a lot of business. But that's Commissioner Covington.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, we still have a lot of business to do, so I will give my my thoughts about this right now. For many years, almost 4 decades, television was my business as a producer, director, and writer. So when I look at these costs, to outfit the fire commission room with hardware, that is a figure. It's $203,000. Those are today's costs. But with television equipment, you have an incredible amount of built-in obsolescence. This is not forever, this figure. And it's not being shared by any other department. It's only for us, this room, this budget. Whereas a move to City Hall, the costs are shared between all of the departments, and we don't have to worry about mounting an effort to always have the state-of-the-art equipment here. We will depend upon having the state-of-the-art equipment there. Also, when you retrofit a room like this, I know Commissioner Hardiman, you know, has mentioned quite truthfully that for the cameras to get a clear image, a true image of our lovely faces, requires a lot of light. And that light is very intrusive, and some people get tremendous headaches after a short period of time with those lights. But at City Hall, you don't have that problem because the ceilings are high, these ceilings are low. I mean, I'm getting into more detail than you probably want, but